3. We're live. Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. Welcome to the Belizean Affairs Show number 156 for Monday, 17th of June of 2024. We're, we're thankful that you have taken your valuable time to tune into our show, whether it be now as it's going on live or whether it be later on at your own convenience and timing. We do appreciate your interest in following up on issues that relates to our country of Belize, its affairs, and its needs. And I would like to just offer, before I offer the prayer, I'd just like to say we have currently on board with us right now one of our next panelists, Mr. Roody Wade, to whom I'll turn over after I say the prayer. I'll just go ahead and bow my head for a minute. Let me turn off this thing in the back of me. Divine loving Father, we thank thee for giving us this privilege to come before thy presence and say thanks for thy loving kindness towards us, for protection, for guidance, for health, food, clothes, and shelter, for wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. We pray that thou mayest help us to provide a program tonight that will accrue to the well-being and benefit of our people of Belize and Belizeans at home and abroad. We pray that thou mayest bless our leaders, bless our country, please bless our people, please bless this country of the United States of America, its people and its leadership as well. Please continue to bless those people in Gaza, Afghanistan, and Sudan, and many other places where there's wars and rumors of wars and strife. Please help those people who are in harm's way, whether it be man-made disasters or natural disasters. Loving Father, we thank you for this privilege again. Please continue to abide with us, to know our hearts, our desires, and even our most secret thoughts. Please continue to bless each and every one of our family members as if they were being mentioned by name and number, not lost when they come. Please be merciful unto us and grant us the privilege to be with thee and thy kingdom to rest his mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Good night again, and I'll yield to Mr. Wade for the reading. And I see Gregory is in the background already. He's able to put himself on when he's ready, so as soon as he comes on, then we'll turn over the show back to him. Mr. Wade?
Thank you, Leonard.
You're welcome, sir.
Hopeful that we could give a good program to our viewers and listeners tonight because there's a lot going on. And to our viewers and listeners, welcome to our 156th edition of Belizean Affairs. And as we go through our the weather situation which most Belizeans are experiencing in country at the moment. As usual, we Leonard had did the prayer, so I'll do a reading from uh, this is a letter of Paul to Titus.
Mr. Wade, before I proceed to your reading, we just want to acknowledge the chairman being present, and after you finish your reading, then maybe we could turn it back over to him now.
Good night, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. And so then we could turn it back over Greg to Mr.
Good night.
Good night, sir. Good night. Go ahead,
Yes,
Mr. Wade. Go ahead, Mr. Wade. I think he's waiting
Greg.
for you
Good
to
night.
finish.
Good night.
I can't tell Leonard. He's really low.
That's what I've been telling him. I've been telling Leonard that it's low. I don't know. I have the same
really
problem
low.
too. Yeah.
I have to turn my volume all the way up to 100%.
No, well,
Yeah, I
I
know.
just turned mine up to 68 just now.
Turn it up some more because
And
it's really low.
and in order not to blow my own ears, I have my. If you notice, my earpiece is way forward towards my instead of all the way in my ears because I have it up so loud. But go ahead and do what you can for right now, Mr. Wade.
Go
You have
ahead,
the floor to
Mr.
read,
Will.
sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll read from this is the letter of Paul to Titus, chapter 1, 1 to 10. Paul, a servant of God and an apostle of Jesus Christ, for the sake of the faith of God's elect, and their knowledge of the truth, which accords with godliness, in hope of eternal life, which God, who never lies, promised before the age begun, and at the proper time manifested in the word through the preaching with which I have been entrusted by the command of God our Savior. Says to Titus, my true child, in a in a common faith, grace and peace from God the Father and Christ Jesus our Savior. This is why I left you in Crete, so that you might put what remain into order and appoint elders in every town, and as I directed you. If anyone is above reproach, the husband of one wife, and his children are believers and not open to charge of brutally or insubordination. For an overseer, as God's steward, must be above reproach, must be above reproach. He must not be arrogant or quick tempered
Mhm.
or a drunkard or violent or greedy for gain, but hospitable, a lover of good,
Mhm.
self control, upright, holy, and disciplined. He must hold firm to the trustworthy words he taught, so that he may be able to give instruction in sound doctrine, and also to rebuke those who contradict it. For there are many who are subordinate, empty talkers, and deceivers, especially those of circumcision party. They must be silent, since they are upsetting whole families by teaching for shameful gain
Mhm.
what they ought not to teach. That's my
Amen.
reading from Titus
Amen.
1 to 10. Chapter 1, 1 to 10. Back to
Thank
you,
you, Mr.
Mr.
Wade.
Chairman.
I yield back
Thank
to
you,
you,
Mr. Wade, for your
Chairman,
reading.
for the night.
Gentlemen, again, this is our 156th episode of Belizean Affairs. And I want to welcome the people at home and abroad. Mr. Brackett, on Friday, as you well know, we had this discussion about our constitution and what is taking place with the present government. Tonight, I want to prove to the Belizean people at home and abroad how the present government continues to attack our constitution. But before I go there, I must say
Uh,
that,
I turn
go
I
ahead,
turn up
Mr. Brackett.
I turn up main volume again up to 75 now. So I hope that helped a little bit.
Yes, what I will do
And
when you are speaking, I
I
will
just move my
turn up
stuff forward.
mine so I can hear.
So
But again, to what I was saying, when it comes to sitting virtually with you guys are highly appreciated, and I am well aware, and I cannot express how much concern it gives me to sit and listen to what you bring to Belizean affairs that has to do with the public at home and abroad and the ordeals and atrocities that is taking place in Belize. With that said, I say good night to the public at home and abroad, and welcome to this 156th episode of Belizean Affairs, where we do this to educate our people and our students, our young people, and we also do this to enlighten our grown folks about what is taking place politically and how past and present government has used political blunder to try to satisfy their ordeals through not doing what they are supposed to do, which is external and internal policies when it comes to the Belizean citizens. And with that said, I will go to the first video to enlighten you guys sitting with me and the people at home and abroad what our discussion will be tonight.
Running incompetence in the law enforcement incompetence in Santa Elena, and the culmination of it is this event I'm going to explain to you.
On June 1st, gang members stormed the San Ignacio Community Hospital and terrorized doctors and patients.
One of his gang members barged in. Doctors were directly threatened by members of his gang. It's an unbelievable Haiti level event.
And what did the police do?
These men are terrorizing the emergency room, and there are no police. The police left. The police dropped off the man and left because they are afraid. So the doctors are there to defend themselves.
And what does Commissioner Chester Williams have to say about all this?
I don't control the behavior of police officers.
I don't micromanage my officers.
Well, maybe you should, Commissioner, starting with the officer commanding San Ignacio and Santa Elena. Commissioner, why have you allowed Officer Franco to fail for so long?
Whenever you see an officer commanding, stay in position against all rational deciphering. That means some politician he's politically favored, or some politician finds him to be a suitable fit in. This is what happens in a state controlled by gangs, and that is what has happened in San Ignacio under Mr. Franco, who, Mr. Commissioner of Police, you have saved him from crucifixion, my brother. Mr. Franco needs to be removed.
Gentlemen, you heard the first tip. Just recently, our Prime Minister went to the House and got $1 million+ to secure crime up north for Belizean citizens against the cartel. Mr. Wade, this is no news. I'm quite sure you live out west. You heard about what is going on in the Western District, especially when it comes to crime and what is happening. Sir, I go to you first for your comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Leonard, it's always, like I say, it's always a pleasure sitting with you guys, and it gives me great pleasure to bring to the nation, truth and speak about issues, because not too many people speak about issues for whatever reason. Maybe it does not directly affect them or their family, or for whatever reason. But I, as a Belizean and a patriot, right, born Belizean and a patriot, want to see good want to see, you know, people live in harmony, peace and harmony, and for our security forces that we, the taxpayers, pays to serve and protect us. We see over the years how it deteriorates or is deteriorating rapidly. You know, sad to see because I was part of that organization and I see where better could be done where crime is concerned and where our leaders and people, like for instance, you know, an officer commanding a substation or a station, you know, where they fail, where some of us know and do not know when they are failing. But as for me, I was inside, now I'm outside looking in. And I see the failures, right? What I'm just nobody, right? But through this medium, I am so glad that I am, you hate me, you love me, I am able to speak truth. You know, it's so sad to see the crime in this entire country, how it's escalating on a daily basis. Murders, gang murders, domestic murders, you know, across the board, crime in a whole it has been escalated, and yet you have the authorities saying that, you know, they have it under control and they know the people in whom they behave bad. So I say, if you know the people who they behave bad, why don't you get these people out of society? What's the problem? Because they know somebody or because they are affiliated to some political, because politics run this country. Can't tell me nothing else that will deter the way I think and what I see. Politics run this country. The politicians up here, Mr. Chairman, and they run the station, you know. They call the shots. A past minister, Mr. Dan Silva, moved my brother from this location because he didn't want to do him a favor. And I tell you this because I'm just leading up to something, right? The man called my brother to do him a favor when may he rest in peace, but he wanted a favor done. My brother said, he will not do you no favor. You broke the law or your family broke the law, I will deal with you. I can't. They moved the man. They moved him. And you know what they did with him? They were sending him off on early retirement, a man in 30 odd yards, right? Because then I was a PUP, I went to speak to Mr. Jorge Spat, who was in charge of police. You know what that man told me? I sat in it. He said, Rudy, the only reason I bring back that man, because you're a good PUP. I look for that man, you know, I shake my head, right? I said, okay, thank you, sir. That's how he brought back my brother. My brother came back. Otherwise, that 20 odd yards he had would have just, right? That's to show you. And you could say anything you want to say, Mr. Dan and the PUP, you know, some evil people. Very evil. UDP, same way. So I say this to say that, you know, what's going on up here is so sad, right? And politics, you know, this area here, very, very serious, you know, right? They know the gang situation. The police knew what was going on when they took that man to the hospital. They knew what was going on because that's not the first time, Mr. Chairman and Belizean and the world. That's not the first time that individual was arrested, charged for a crime, murder. He spent some time in jail. He came back out in the same little municipality, Santa Elena, where I am, right? They know this man. And there is a rivalry. But like I always say, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Take it any way you want to take it. But shame on the commissioner, shame on the system. How in the world that they could go and protect the Chinese man 24/7, right? And they cannot protect the public hospital, man. Why can't they have police there 24/7? Police that we are paying, taxpayers' dollars paying, right? So, so sad to see that, this kind of, and that's, we could expect worse, this country, right? So sad. And the words from the commissioner, my brother, better could be done, and you are the man in charge. Right? So, say no more.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Well said. Mr. Brackett, before I go to you, I need you to find Section 12 of the Constitution. And while you are doing that, I want to go to the second tape before I come to you. Let's play the second tape.
This was how the door of the emergency room looked after one of David Galindo's gang affiliates punched it in on Saturday, June 1st. There was blood everywhere and doctors had to quickly attend to the man who had just threatened their lives.
And there was one this dude that we found that he punched the wall of the emergency department and blood was all over the place.
It caused a panic across the emergency room, and the window remained like that until a few days ago when it was finally fixed. In the immediate aftermath of the emergency room invasion, a meeting was held on Monday, June 3rd at Sitch, which is where our recording was secretly made. Then on Tuesday, a meeting was held with the medical staff at the Ministry of Health in Belmopan with Dr. Jorge Polanco, the Deputy Director of Health Services. After that, 6 days elapsed before we broke the news on sunup. We have pictures of the hospital and what the doctors in there experienced. They were directly threatened by members of his gang.
Wow.
Who they were told, multiple doctors have attested to this, they were told, if you do not save the man's life, that owner get killed.
Like I said, I am just made aware of the veracity of this incident when Jules Vasquez brought it up on the beef yesterday morning. I saw that it is something serious and may require my input to come and address and see what we can do to address the problem.
But the Prime Minister insists he told the Commissioner before that.
By the time you got your video, we were already acting, we were already hunting down these two individuals.
The Commissioner said he found out about it on the beef.
But we did not find it out on the beef. We did not.
You and the Commissioner got different.
We found it out. We found it out from within the Ministry of Health when they finally told the Ministry of Health, and as soon as they told us, we found out, we acted on it, and I called the Commissioner and said, listen, we need to work on this immediately.
Well, that's not what the Compul said, and the doctors told the ministry on Tuesday. So why then did a whole week have to pass before Cabinet expressed what it called outrage at the incident? A release that neatly appeared the day after we broke the story. The Prime Minister's timeline simply does not add up, and the likely reason is that he's trying to cover up what the doctors at Sitch distinctly sense, a profound lack of concern for their safety and well-being.
We informed our chief of staff, nobody showed up. We ended up the shift and nobody showed up. Nobody reached out and asked us, were we okay? Anybody was hurt?
Gentlemen, you heard the tape. Again, I said political blunder because They always do what? Telling what?
And themselves.
Tell
Themselves.
them themselves.
I go to you now, Mr. Brackett, for your comment.
Uh, you had asked me to um, get a part of the Constitution. I'm ready for you, no? You said Section 12, right?
Yes, I
Okay.
don't mean
I
like
have that.
I
I know.
said,
I'm just double checking. I know. I'm just double
right.
checking because I had it already. But anyhow, you're asking for my comment now in regards to what the two tapes that you presented, then, right, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, yes, yeah. It,
Go
you
ahead,
can,
sir.
you can.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
As regards to the first tape, in fact, I can speak to both of them together.
Yes, go ahead.
It is unfortunate that we have a system in the country where all people of authority try to exculpate themselves and those that they favor from any accountability for executive management of the country. In the first place, as was said, that gentleman had already been tried and convicted on a previous crime, and the way he was dealt with apparently gives him the impression that, okay, well, everybody else out there have to fear me because they know what I'm capable of doing, and I did it already and I could come back and do it again. In other words, our legal system is being played around with to the extent where the criminals now have the veracity. As the commissioner said, he didn't realize the level of the veracity of the crime until he heard it on Jules. And Jules actually was putting on his show, his morning show on the beef, days after the incident happened. When incidents happen, don't you have a police report? Or don't you have police that come and make and collect
They got a
statements
thing
and
they
collect
call sit trip,
information
Leonard, sit
and get
trip every
evidence
day.
so that they could prosecute whoever they have to arrest and go prosecute?
They
Does not
have
people
a
of Belize at home and abroad understand why is it that we are constantly on this particular program haggling and hassling with our ministers of government, our commissioner, and our police officers in regards to how they conduct themselves and the affairs of the country and how they relate and treat the rest of the people in the country? Then go and create bogus SOEs. Where is the SOE in this regards? In fact, you don't need an SOE if you go arrest this gentleman.
just Leonard. Can I interject something? Can
Go
I
ahead,
just
go
tell you
ahead.
something?
Go ahead, sir.
They're on formation commanders. They are a thing they call sit trip, situation report.
Right.
Every day that the commander of that formation should send to Belmopan. So that very same day that that incident happened should have been. So for those who do not know, I'll tell. That is what I'm telling you, right?
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade, for
Thank you.
pointing it out again, because that's exactly what I'm referring to when I say that these people at the high levels are supposed to get their reports so that they can do executive management at their level, and the people subordinate to them should fulfill their obligations so that these other people above can have the material available to them to understand and know, rather than for Mr. Chester get to find out on the TV show days after the fact. Why? Because like we have been saying before, go out there, do no investigation, arrest who has to be arrested, put them through the ringers. If they successfully get off, that's not the police problem after that, except that if they don't get enough info. Just a minute. Except that if they don't do their proper investigation and have the evidence so that the DPP can have a proper prosecution, and the people that get off, then at least the police then could say, well, they had done their job. The DPP could say, well, she and her office had done their job. And at a minimum, these people had been taken off the street for a while, and being put through the ringers and being held in remand until the case complete. And in some instances, probably some of them would have get convicted. But if you don't arrest them, if you don't put them through the process, how the hell do you improve your statistics in terms of conviction? And how are you going to be able to have any teaching of the law applied to the point where these wanton criminals that are running around on the street can be brought to account? Because the alternative to that is that people are going to take the law into their hand, which shouldn't have to be. I don't care where gang member you belong to, whether a police gang, whether a criminal gang, whatever gang you belong to. So long as you violate the laws, the law and the lawmen are supposed to take care of business. That's the reason why we have a police department, and we have a legal system. We have a court, and we have judges and juries. But you cannot be out there making excuses for why things aren't working the way it's supposed to work. When you're snubbing the process and you're pretending like it's no big deal, and whenever things happen, then you turn around and try to find an excuse. You should be preempting this process in the first place. As Mr. Wade said earlier, as the chairman for the program tonight has been indicating, these people need to have officers' protection. Because it's not the first and the only, or maybe the last time that has happened or will happen. Okay, what have they done about the fact that this whole issue has blown up? For days now, we've been hearing talks about it, and we haven't heard any resolution to it. They know who those individuals were. They know who the gang members are. Grab them both and put them in jail. And some of them, innocent people, sit in jail there until a case gets to be heard for months and years sometimes. They commit the crime, send them back to jail, go sit down and wait for them turn on remand. They want to be bad man, treat them like bad man. But you can't have these guys that run terrorist activities against the society at large and shoot up people, and they go in a hospital and threaten doctors and tell doctors craziness about it. If they can't save this man's life, that they want to pay for their life. That alone should is a declaration that they're forfeiting the right to their own life at that point. So whatever have to happen to them, deal with the facts and deal with them. But you see, it not happened to the Prime Minister, it not happened to the Commissioner, and you know they happen to none of the other high-powered people. So they could go and make excuses all over the place, and it's all crap. We've had the $1 million there, now where they gone to the house we get to fight the crime in Cairo. Mr. Wade, we've been asking that question for how long now, sir? At least about 2 or 3 weeks, long before this particular instance happened. Right? When they asked for the $1 million to go deal with crime up north, they still didn't get it. But as of today, we still haven't heard what the $1 million was spent on and how the crime is going to get solved up north. Instead, it gets worse. Because the thing they blow up over the other side of the border, and people who come over from east side go hide out and take refuge. In fact, some of them come over and they do the same kind of crime over from east side that they've been doing over the other side. And where's our police force or our BDF or security personnel to look after the well-being and safety and security of we people? They are nowhere to be found. In Cairo, for example, we have been hearing about people coming from across Melchor into Fui area. Over and over and over, hold up people. In fact, just not too long ago, some people lying at the people in the store, hold them up at gunpoint, and nothing come out of that either. The police are never available to go after the criminal or to catch the criminal. But in Belize City, they are always available. Police officers, BDF, and all level of personnel can be deployed into areas to go and collect people under bogus SOE and in fact arrest some people without cause instead of go deal with the real criminals then when they commit the crimes on the street and all over the place. They know who the criminals are. Arrest them. Don't create bogus SOE and stifle the whole community with that. In the first place, it's illegal. But I'll give back for a second, Mr. Chairman, because I'm ranting a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. Well said. Gentlemen, I brought up this topic because I wanted to prove to the people at home and abroad how this system works. And exactly like you guys were saying, there's crime all over the world, but there's also law enforcement.
Exactly.
But when you have failure at your internal policy, you do not do political blunders, and you want to point the finger to news media personnel. Let's go and hear the next case.
It's unfortunate when he says such thing because he tries to, he's tabloid journalism. He's not really giving the news because when I found out and I was being informed that that video was not even shared with the police, it was shared with Mr. Vasquez, and so that's unfortunate. The people at the Ministry of Health did not know about it, and I think I spoke to the minister a few days ago and said that that doctor has not gone up to them to talk to them. So I told the minister that he needs to call in this doctor and to get what really happened. There's no cover up. We want to deal with these people, and it's unfortunate that Mr. Vasquez, who has such a loud voice, that would be able to saying these things. He should help us, not make things worse for this country.
Cut the craziness out, boy.
Gentlemen, you heard what the Prime Minister said, and you heard what he said about Jules Vasquez. He should help them.
Mr. Chairman,
No.
They don't like to be embarrassed by having to face the truth when they don't have a justifiable rebuttal. So they go around the other side and pretend that they're scolding somebody else for bringing the facts to them that is causing them to be embarrassed. Like I said earlier, the first thing the police is supposed to do is be on the scene, collect the information, and do further investigation. And as quick as possible, go and grab that person before he runs across the border. They're supposed to be doing their job. The Prime Minister is supposed to do his job. Instead, he talk about the failures of the system, of which he is the major manager. He try to put it on somebody else, but he try to bring the thing to light with a bunch of craziness. I yield back, sir. Sorry for jumping in without.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. Well
Just
said.
try to be crazy, man.
I will prove it tonight how political blunders work, as well as how when these people can't get their way, what they attack, or constitution. Now you listen to what the Prime Minister said and said Jules Vasquez should have helped us. What he's trying to do, he's failing at the internal policy, and the Minister of Police is failing at his job. They do not want to say that. And I said it before, under political blunder, these people talk because they say the same thing. Mr. Wade, before I go to you, let's listen to the next tape.
When this incident occurred, I believe there was only one report that was made, one of damage to property. Right away, the following day, the individual was charged, taken to the magistrate and fined, as far as I'm aware, $1,500. There was no other report of threats issued to the medical officers. And so when that news broke many days later, I think it was Jules that broke that news, it wasn't as though the doctors and nurses had complained to the police that something had happened and they did not respond. And so when it came to light that instead of going to the police, they went to Channel 7 to provide this information, obviously the police had to take very swift action. Cabinet took swift action because this is absolutely out of order for a situation like that to have occurred at a public?
No, Mr. Wade, you are an
Excuses.
ex-police officer. We see what is happening in Belize. When does the police, on a routine, doing their job, take someone that gets shot to the hospital and just leave them there? Go ahead, sir.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's all, you know, like trying to point fingers now, right? None of them want to take responsibility, right? I say this to say you listen to Johnny Briceño, the Prime Minister of this country, you listen to the Commissioner of Police, you listen to this guy, Musa guy, the Minister for Police. Who do you believe? Who do you believe? That's a question out there for John Public, right? But I say this to say that, the whole thing is a cover-up and they don't want to acknowledge that they are failing, right? So that's a serious matter there. This person, like I said, they know that person, they know who he is, and they know the repercussion, and they know failure. They shouldn't have dropped that individual there and left. No, they shouldn't have done that. That's bad police work.
Mr. Wade, I recall in Belize City when police take you and carry the police the hospital, the KMH, they always say they're under police custody. Well, that's not the same principle that they use up in Cayo. No, I mean,
it should be across.
I'm trying to be funny, right? Because it is not a funny issue, but I'm trying to be funny. I'm sorry about interrupting, sir.
This for, Mr. Chairman, you play these things. Open your eyes, people. Are we so dormant? Are we so, don't care? It could happen to you, right? It could, don't say this can't happen to me, right? And on another serious note there, I noticed that some portions of our society are nobody. Nobody. They don't care. There's a lady that was in the news last week who took a lot of Belizean money, lands transaction, Miss Grant. She was targeted, shoot up a car, shoot up this and shoot up a lot, incident happened. Do you know that 2 days after that, they found who did it, They found who did it. Wonder why? You have several murders up here, right? Several murders up here.
So weird. Connections? Links?
I left that for the public. Right? Several murders up here and across this country. But because of who they are, here, nothing. The poor people, victims left for fend for themselves. But one of my good friends, a Chinese guy, a good friend of mine, just murdered last week. Right? Shot, killed, dead right here in my municipality. And several others. Here, nothing. But this lady, then don't find who made an attempt on her life and her ex or on her the guy she was with.
So they do good police work when they want, no?
That's what I'm saying. So, Mr. Chairman, you open the eyes, you listen to Jules Vasquez, you listen to Johnny Briceño, the Prime Minister of this country, you listen to the Commissioner of Police, you listen to the Musa guy, the Minister of Police. Who do you believe? Like you said, Mr. Chairman, they always tell on themselves. Always. Right? Who know to see these things, man? And sadly, you know, at the end of the day, who suffers, right? That's my point. Who
Thank you.
suffers?
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Mr. Brackett, before I go to you, because it's very important, and I need to hear your comment based on the tape I just played, but I want your comment mostly on the one I'm about to play, because you heard what the Prime Minister said. Jews Vasquez should be helping them. Now, I always say that they tell on themselves. So, with
Before you
this
finish
tape I'm
before you finish the
playing,
statement, Mr. Chairman, before you finish the statement, when you brought up about Jules Vasquez and then asking why Jules Vasquez don't help them, weren't they trying to close him down the other day? How they holler about help now when they don't want the man be out there to tell the truth on them and on everybody else? Because the man is a reporter. Did he report the news
well,
or the issue?
Mr.
But anyhow,
Brackett,
go ahead. Sorry for interrupting, sir.
it has to do, and I told you guys, as well as the public home, I will show you how the government, when they cannot get their way, how they attack the Constitution. I will prove it to you guys, because what Mr. Vasquez is doing is his constitutional right. But when you offend these people that are not, as elected people, taking care of internal policy, and they are put on the back burner, this is how they act. Now let me play the tape so you can hear identical to what the Prime Minister said. Young Mr. Musa is saying it.
The police didn't find out about it until June 10th, when we broke the story on Sun Up on 7. We've discussed the timeline of events that happened in between and why it took the police so long to act. As one doctor said, the cops dropped off David Galindo and then sped off. Now, according to the minister, the only report they received was about the broken door, which they acted on. But how did the police miss the other details when investigating that damaged door, the biggest being how and why it happened? But rather than question the officer, Musa has now thrown the blame on Channel 7, stating that our newsroom should have contacted the cops the moment we got the report, which, we should clarify, was Sunday, June 8th, less than 12 hours before we aired it on the morning beef on Monday. Well, that means an entire week lapsed before we were informed, during which time the Ministry of Health knew of the incident but did not activate the police. We challenged the minister on this.
Do you admit there was a breakdown?
No, absolutely not, Marisol. Like I mentioned previously, I believe I met with the media on Thursday or Friday. The only report that came to police was the issue of the damage to property, and so that matter was dealt with. The individual was charged the following day, and I believe he pled guilty, the individual that damaged the glass, and he was fined $1,500. And so that was the only report that came to the police department. And so I know that there is a lot of examination going on in terms of the timeline in which this information was provided. But let me say that it was not provided to the police, it was provided to a media outlet. And one would expect, moving forward, responsible media outlets would contact the police before trying to claim credit, to say we were the ones who got that information first. This is not a competition. The police is not competing with any of the media stations, and it is hoped that we are all in this fight against crime, that you would do the responsible thing, ask the police for their side of the story. Did a report like this come to you? That was never done. Instead, it was shared on a morning show, I believe. That's not the way that we are supposed to be working together. And so I want to ask the cooperation of media houses. We're not trying to compete for any sort of glory. This is not about chest beating or ego building. This is about trying to fight and stop crime. And so my suggestion moving forward is that had the doctors gone to the police first, that then an investigation could have taken place. But the only thing that came to the police was a damage to property case.
But then they had a meeting with the Ministry of...
You see how liar the boy is? He's a lie by oneself within the one same statement.
Mr. Brackett, damage control at its best.
Man.
Let me hear from you.
Who, me?
Because
nobody can come arrest me if I have to tell them what I think.
well,
Why am I get banned off of the
in
program
all reality,
for expounding my real feelings? Because
in
this
all
is
reality,
play games with them Belizean.
in all reality, regardless of crime that is happening, I wanted to publicize this 156th episode to prove when past and present government is passed out there to the public and the vultures are getting them because they are not doing what they responsibly should do, how they react towards individuals. Go
Mr.
ahead,
Chairman,
Mr. Brackett.
I'll take up the challenge that you put out there, or not the challenge, the offer that you provided me to participate and have something to say in regards to this particular point that you just brought across. And I'll say it like this. If Mr. Musa was honest to the public, I wouldn't say honest to himself, because when somebody is trying to bamboozle others, very often they think out quickly before they talk and say what they want to say. Hopefully that it makes some sense. But if they never had enough time to plot it out before, sometimes the pressure when they're under quickly, they give up on quick response. When they lie, they end up the bumble. So Mr. Musa could not say that the media house is supposed to do the police investigation for the police department, which he heads. Okay? Regardless of what the media house got the information long after the incident happened. The police was on the scene when they take the man there. Where's the report that they wrote up in regards to what happened and how is it that they get that person there? And where's the follow-up to the additional reports in terms of everything else that happened after that? Then said they get one report and then go and arrest the gentleman because they get one report for property damage. As the only lady that was doing the presentation of the news media on the news pointed out, then should have gone ahead and investigate how the window got broke. Not only that the window got broke and by whom, but they should have done an investigation because that's public property. It's not even private property. It's also public property. So they should have done a proper investigation. And this young man should not have been taken to court and charged for the destruction of the property, because everything else that had happened during the course when they run in there and broke that thing and threatened the other people should have been on record at the time when he went to court. Had the police went ahead and did the proper investigation, but as we have said before and we keep on saying, they don't do their proper investigation. But they want to go in and brutalize people who don't deserve to be brutalized. But the one that deserve to be brutalized or be brought to account, they don't deal with them like that. They deal with them with kid gloves. They know this guy is a rampant criminal on the streets. I know some non-news just saying go on and grab and beat him down or go on and host and broke up the place and find out if you get him. Up to today date, we don't know if they gone and rearrest him yet for the further crimes. When they don't, when they said and justify out. Then justify out because the media pointed out their failure to do proper investigation and their failure to act and their failure to deal with the matter substantively. As of today date, we have this discussion. so many days after they don't find out that more than what they charged the man for had happened. Where's the DPP? Where's the police report to the DPP? Then they had police report to the DPP in Mr. Wojie case quickly to file and to take to court expeditiously. What about this kind of wanton crimes? And these guys going on there threatening people. Then guys say shouldn't be a part of we society because they already commit crimes, like we said before, Mr. Wade, and they don't mind committing more crimes if they go to jail again, because they go to jail and going to jail to them like go again on vacation time off with pay. So they want to threaten these people, and if push comes to shove, these people go line up to get hurt by this same idiots where they make threats to people, and the police officers or the police department is nowhere to be found to look after the interests of these people or provide them protection. We are dealing with hardcore criminal elements. Deal with them as such then. That's what we have a police department for. That's what we have a military force for. They don't run and grab the BDF from the borderline to bring them away into the city, if you go and harass and put pressure on the people where you know, when they shoot no gun at them or no, they cause them no problem. Just because they want to arrest somebody that they think need to be arrested. Go ahead and do it then. Do the same thing now for the real criminals. But I don't see them operating like that. Mr. Chairman, you had something else to say, I want to speak, in addition to... Or you're not ready yet either for the...
Well said, Mr. Brackett. And now, I want to say this to the people at home and abroad. We need to be very visual. We need to look and listen to what is presently going on within our present government, because past and present has been attacking our fundamental rights, section 3 through 19 of the Constitution, with no regard to section 20 that is for judicial review. Whenever these people do not get their way and you put them to shame, they turn around and they want to create informal laws to silence you. So be careful of this PCC Act, where they are trying to dismantle a genuine constitution with a fake one. And let me go to the text, because Mr. Brackett, I want to go back to you first to read section 12 of the Constitution. Here is the text.
On Tuesday, Cabinet met and considered the criminalization of the unauthorized publication of evidence that comes into the hand of police officers who are carrying out an investigation. And I know that the media, are quite justifiably so, is concerned because this includes evidence not only in the form of witness statements, photographs, documents that investigators might have picked up at a particular crime scene, but also video. Video evidence, as we know, is now widely circulated, not just on mainstream media, but also on social media. And so moving forward, we have approved in policy and in principle this criminalization of certain documents, certain videos, certain photographs. And I fully agree with you, and I'm totally understanding of the concern of the media, because there will have to be somewhat of a classification process that investigators will have to go through. Many times, I'm sure you're aware, that videos are put out there even before it gets to the police station. And so at the point of investigating a particular case, if a matter or a video has already been circulating, the investigator at some point will have to classify that particular video as being the subject of a criminal investigation. And so, moving forward, as we draft the legislation, we have to be extremely crafty in ensuring that we are not trampling on the rights of the media and access of the media to what is considered public video footage or public photographs, while at the same time doing some sort of a balancing act to ensure that we are protecting the integrity of the evidence as well as protecting the victims or the witnesses in a particular case.
Mr. Brackett, can you read section 12 of the Constitution for me?
Yes, sir. Before I do that, can I just get off my chest? I almost fell down just now, man. The man, you always say the man and tell on yourself, Mr. Chairman. The man, they say they have to be crafty. Crafty, we deal with who? The general public? Or if we deal with what the Constitution blocks them off from having any ability to be able to do. So they be crafty now, and how they make them bogus law, and presumably they will be able to get away with it. Bull crap. Not here. Not while I am alive. We're in a different dispensation of political affairs in our country. And like I said before, we will hang that Constitution around the neck. Whether it be the Prime Minister, whether it be the Minister of Police, whether it be the Police Commissioner, or whichever other minister, or whichever other commissioner. And we'll go to court, and if we feel aggrieved that the court has not given us justice, we will take those matters to the higher courts. And if we fail at the higher court, at the appellate court level, we will take those matters to the jurisdiction for the final legal affairs of the country. And if we don't get no justice there, we'll take the damn justice into our hand. So we have a lot of room for run yet. So I hope these jokers, they get serious about doing their job and don't force us to have to go down that road.
Mr.
We end up
Brackett,
like Haiti. And we don't need, nor do we deserve to be put in that
Mr.
situation.
Brackett, first of all, I've said it on more than one night on this platform. Policies on a side don't do what?
Trump the Constitution, sir.
I've said it
But these jokers,
more than
the man is a
100
lawyer.
times.
The man is a lawyer, and his father was
More
a
than
top-notch lawyer
100
himself,
times.
and he working in his father's law firm. So the man, at least, he should have the basic things then about the legal structure of a country. The man should have a commander. And I do believe that he does, because I've heard him expound adequately and cogently in the House of Representatives as regards to trying to put his perspective against the perspective of the former Prime Minister. When he himself got to the point where he was lecturing the former Prime Minister on these very same subjects and this attitude about violating people's fundamental rights. Now they ask, I'm sorry.
Mr. Brackett, as I said
Yes, sir.
before,
I can't read the thing because
when you step on these people's
I get
toes,
flustered.
they go after your constitution to silence you. This is specifically pointed at Channel 7, and the rest of Media House will fall in line. This is to silence you. When the police is not doing their work, how do they get evidence? From videotape, from outside people and social media. That is how most crimes are solved. But can you read
Can I ask a
section
question?
12?
A quick question? Yes, I'll read right now. Can I ask a quick question? As of today's date that we are talking, do we not have a CIB office anymore in the police department? I probably should ask that question to Mr. Wade. I mean, it's an ask and answered question, though, right? So I'm being a little bit flippant.
There you go.
As of today's date that we are having this discussion, do we not have anymore a CIB section of the police department? I know we do.
Still
It's an
there.
ask and answered question. I know we do. So why aren't they doing their job in support of the other regular police members who are not skilled and knowledgeable about how to do proper investigation? Cooperate with people who are experts in that field then. But you have to do your job, which is why when they carry the files into the DPP looking at the file and not see nothing that's substantive enough for her to be successful at prosecuting. By then, it's long after the fact, and the evidence is already cold, or they can't find it. Instead of do the investigation properly when the crime has just been committed. Because that's the time when you could get the best evidence available to prosecute later on. I mean, Mr. Wade could explain all of that to us. You've been there, did all of that, Mr. Wade. But let me read the chairman's request. Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and read the thing that you asked for. So, Belize Constitution, Cap 4, Section Part 2, Section 12, and Subsection 1 reads as follows. Except with his own consent, that means the individual involved, the person involved, except with that individual's consent, could be me, you, anybody, except with his own consent, a person shall not be hindered in the enjoyment of his freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinions without interference, freedom to receive ideas and information without interference, and for clarity, by the government in specifics. Freedom to communicate ideas and information without interference by the government, whether that communication be to the public generally or to any person or class of person, and freedom from interference with his correspondence by the government. It goes on to have subsection 2 and some additional paragraphs. I don't know if the chairman wishes me to read that, or if what I've read so far is
Section 2 is not important.
okay.
You said it, you read it quite well. And I
welcome,
needed
sir.
you to do that to show that they continuously is attacking the fundamental rights of the people.
Mr. Chairman,
Section
quickly.
3 to 19.
Mr. Musa knows that what he is saying is contrary to the Constitution. He said that much to Mr. Barrow in
That
the
is
House of
correct.
Representatives when Mr. Barrow was the Prime Minister and Mr. Barrow wanted to pass a law. He pointed that out. So I'm saying, as I've said before, these gentlemen, they all know what the hell they're doing, but then just try to play games with the general public because they don't feel that the public knows or understand, and therefore they could come and tell me any kind of baloney. And we're supposed to make one sandwich with that, because we shouldn't know otherwise. The bottom line is that the man is well schooled, I tell you. The man father was a top-notch lawyer. The man working at his father's law firm. The man graduate, you know, and get a diploma certifying the man that he was competent enough to be able to be a lawyer. And eventually, at some point in his career, would have the ability to be able to become a substantive lawyer. So why play this kind of shenanigans with we country and for we people? Why the talk about you going to go talk?
I answer that for you, Mr. Brackett. When you are failing
crazy
at what you are supposed to do, this is when you attack a constitution or you use political blunder. It simply means you cannot do the job. That is why they moved Mr. Shabat from being the Minister of Health and placed him somewhere else.
Because we dare to point out his transgressions and deficiency. Now they try to use Channel 7 to come after the weed and the art. They want to use the media house and use terms and words, globalized words, right, that could be applicable directly to the point that they are talking about, as well as others. In other words, they incorporate. They make these laws and they talk about if people have information and blah, 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 blah. People are not, okay, like I said this to the public, Greg, you could probably contribute a thought on this specific point because me and you had a discussion on this before. People are not commanded by law, even though maybe ethically and morally they should cooperate with the police. But there's no law in our governance system that tells you as an individual that you must cooperate with the police. That kind of thought process and behavior pattern has already gone to the highest courts, regional courts, Privy Council, and many other international courts, and has been pointed out that you do not have a legal obligation to speak to the police or to cooperate with the police in regards to any matter. They could come and try and intimidate you into cooperating with them, which is also illegal, by the way. I think Ms. Spitz pointed that out the other day in a case that she had. And there have been many other instances where that situation has gone to the court and dealt with. But these guys are not having no respect for the Constitution, much less the courts. All they want to do is use the laws that they are making, put them on the book, victimize who they want to victimize with it, and cause them people if you have to defend themselves in court against the power of the government's purse, which is a travesty and a bastardization of our system of governance. I yield back again, Mr. Chairman.
That is correct. I will tell you one, and I go to you, Mr. Wade. The learned attorney that went to the prison to see her client, and the prison talking about dress code. Man, policies does not trump your constitutional right. She's an attorney. As long as she's a fair, they cannot tell her what to wear.
That was
That's
arbitrary.
her constitutional
Mr.
right.
Chairman, that was an arbitrary and capricious behavior on the part of that prison warden, because he has no legal basis for that. He has no jurisdiction for that about dress codes in regards to a legal representative coming to the court, coming to the prison to meet his or her client. He was totally off his workers and out of bounds. But that person probably did not want to have a conversation with him and tell him exactly where to go jump, because he had no authority, and he was trying to create a scenario where he would appear to have some authority or power over or power play the individual or the lawyer, and he does not. The Constitution or that lawyer, every lawyer that is called to the bar and authorized to be a member of the bar is an officer of the court who sits far and above the level of even the director of the prison. Okay?
Yes.
The respect and deference to those officers of the court goes far and beyond any authority that the prison warders and prison officers or the director of the prison would have. So that guy, I don't know, maybe he understood his assignment, or maybe he just wanted to play some.
I will say this again to say, Mr. Brackett.
Make that me go to prison there and
Section 12 of the Constitution is the law of the land. They cannot tell this attorney or no attorney, you cannot bring your bag or your briefcase.
That's crazy.
I know that for a fact. Those policies will not be in writing because it's unconstitutional.
I doubt the man had any policy like that. I doubt the man had any policy. That was a personal thing that he was trying to play a game with.
But this attorney has the position for these gentlemen and women. And they must go there and sit down face to face and go through it if they are on remand. How can you tell them we ask you to bring a Manila envelope? That is unconstitutional.
And that's the authority of the court, authority of Section 20,
exactly.
And the authority of the Constitution. That knucklehead idiot that tried to play that kind of game with that officer of the court was totally out of bounds. Like I said, he could have been ordered to be remanded for violating constitutional rights.
He should sue them. Point blank. Mr. Wade, I go to you.
Thank you.
Idiots, man.
You play those tapes there again, these guys, it's so sad to see. And who suffers when they make this bogus laws or try to, to silence people or try to, who suffers, right? The poor people who cannot afford to hold them accountable, right? Now, they continue to make, whenever they get caught, whenever people, bring out the shortcomings or bring out the things that they haven't done that they should have done, right? Or the things that they said that they shouldn't have said, right? Or bring out the things that they say in a whole, or they hardly in a little corner, the cabinet, hardly a bunch of liars, right? They hardly in a, how we could go about and shut up Channel 7, man. You see the same, by the way, always there for that thing when they call Belizean affairs and thing. We have to deal with them, by the way, Right? They work on that right now, right? Because they catch we a lot of time. And then they tell the public about the things there. And look what they do. Then they play the tape to show how we live the move. Right? They're not lying with them, but we have to make something to silence them. Right? We have to do something because they don't want to be exposed. Right? So,
Mr. Weird. You take them more than one term in government to be able to catch us and do what they want to do with me. You take maybe 5 terms in government or 25 years. They have to go back to school and learn what they forget or what they never learned initially. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for bringing these things, man. And like I say, they will continue to trample with our constitution, and God forbid that these guys get the upper hand, right? And these guys get to do what they want to do with our constitution. You think that they bad now? Belizean at home and abroad? You don't think that you watch the mindset of some of these ministers, like the Musa brothers, like Brisenio, like Mr. Spot. You watch a lot of them how they talk. Huh? Just imagine that they have that one over we and, then a God Almighty, right?
The Republic of Belize, Mr.
Just imagine. Just listen to how these guys talk like they're a God. Right? That you, John Public, don't mean nothing. And you, John Public, shouldn't have said this. You shouldn't have said that because I know you're right. Because we don't take away your right. Just imagine, my people, when these people get to do what they want with the constitution of this country. Right? Put it that way. I want to sleep on that because then guys here, then people were enough to trust. We're not to stop trust these guys where we give them power to. We got to wipe them out and put one new set of people and trust them. Because they're crowd here. Then get a hold of this country and the people for so long. And as I speak right now, then down the train, they leave one, they leave family, their son, their daughter, they to continue the tyranny. Right? You don't think that joke? And again, guys, who will suffer if you're not close to them? If you know they serve them or lick up behind them or a part of them, you doom in this country. Okay, me the terror no. Right? So thank you, Mr. Chairman, because all the videos them for who got sense speak for itself. As for me, nothing that these guys say, I believe. Nothing that they do is good for this country and people. Good for them, yes. And their little circle, yes. And the businessman, yes. But for the poor Belizean and country, no good. Okay? We got to get rid of these people. Okay? We don't have to put on a trust in our completely different set of leaders in this country. We need to get rid of the PUP and the UDP because they're not two entities, no, they're not one. Believe it or not. Okay? You see anyone that ain't gone to jail yet? They are cover up for each other. Right? Name me one UDP who ain't gone to jail. Who pillage this country, who rape this country, who are criminal in this country. Name me one PUP gone to jail. Only one I know about, but he never ain't gone to jail, yeah. The US arrested him. Gone to jail at the US. Now you're not Belize.
Immunity.
Say no more. Back
Mr.
to you,
Chairman?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Brackett.
Can I ask for okay? Mr. Musa, on one of the tapes we played earlier, confessed as much as what we have been saying over and over, that they sit down in a cabinet and they make these bogus laws and then they try use it for people when they feel like deserve to get hurt by it. And then they go to court and lose the cases then. But that's not the point I'm trying to go after. I'm trying to stay with the point where he just confessed on our show that they sit down in a cabinet and then discuss this matter and then thinking about bringing some laws into existence to deal with these matters. Now, the matter that you want to deal with are the matter of Channel 7 exposing them again. One more time, the many other times or dozens of times during the course of this year. What are the way? They want to fix up or correct or strengthen, enhance, so that the criminal, when it's supposed to go arrest right now, could get tried and convicted on legally, sent to jail, and get rid of him out of his society to make him as an example for the others, and whoever else want to follow on, grab them, do the same thing with them, and send them for some long time to jail. Or, for a matter of fact, when they kill up each other, we shouldn't have no tears to drop for them. We should cry with tears for the poor people over there on the street where they get shot up in the middle of the gang war, and the people where they left their kids behind without nobody to support them, and all the mayhem and criminal things that occur that apparently the politicians are disinterested in dealing with. The man never tell we they sit down the cabinet to do what naturally should be the right thing to do. Figure out in a cabinet whether or not the laws are appropriate to deal with the substantive matter of the crime from which this video came about, that he made such a big beef over with Channel 7, because Channel 7 was given access to the videos. He want to feel like, because Channel 7 broadcast it, that the government get exposed for not doing their proper investigation and look bad. And therefore they want to penalize Channel 7 for having them look bad. When they shouldn't be doing their work, or he shouldn't be demand that Chester get the subordinate them to follow the rule of the department, because they have police arresting powers. The first thing the police need to do is take people off of the street where they commit the crimes, where they know have already committed the crimes. Not potentially committing a crime or may commit a crime in the future, because that could be a violation of somebody's constitutional right if they have not committed a crime and they're only being perceived as having the potential to commit a crime. That's a bastardization of the Constitution. But in this instance, we talk about something that don't happen already. Then go in at the place, shoot up the place, or do whatever they had to do in the place, and terrorize and intimidate. No, okay. Remember that law where they're going to make the idea where they say they're going to enhance? Because if you are a medical officer, if you are a police officer, or you are any member of the departments them of government, and somebody come in and talk hard to you, or offend you, or insult you, or hurt you, or threaten you, 3 years automatic. They're not like only punitive crime anymore. They make the law, and put it in a place, The law is bogus. But they don't use it against the real hardcore criminals then, because right now they could have go ahead and try to use a law there. If even just to stall, kill some time, and get them guys off of the street. They have a right now, if that law was to be correct, according to how then they try to portray that they go in the cabinet and then discuss it and then put it out of the house and then vote for it and then make it a law, and it's a law now in the book. It's unconstitutional, as we have been telling you all the way along. But according to them, they feel like it's all right to use it. So why they don't haul them but pretend that they do their job, collect these individuals who are a major threat and creating mayhem in our society and put them for sit down in a jail there at least on 5, 6, 12 months or whatever in remand. Even if they don't get found guilty, at least they pay one part of crime for committing the crime that they had done before. Maybe next time they say, well, I don't want to spend no 12 months, much less one whole lifetime for committing any major crime. So I want to have a little deterrence. I want to think twice about it. If that the man I don't want to do right now, that's how shortcoming they are in terms of their governance. You are telling me that them man can't use the law when they just make the other day? Give the guys them at least 3 years at least. Or even if you can't get them a court. Or in fact, let's say we go rogue, right? And we act like a bunch of rogue people like they are. And we say, okay, well, I'm capturing guys who don't know them do the crime. We're not sure that they will get prosecuted, or we're not sure that they will get convicted. So we are delay their trial. We are do like the Republic say now, you know, we are become like the Republic of Belize. We are delay the trial, spite them, make them sit down there until they get a date that is far removed. In the meantime, the society not have to deal with them while they are back there. Am I right or wrong? I mean, I'm not dealing with constitutional perspective now. No, am I dealing with proper morals or ethics, right? I'm trying to be facetious, in other words. I'm trying to show how when the man, if they're really serious about wanting to use the bogus laws, then when they could use it right now in a scenario where it requires something to be done about getting these idiots off the street. They're just temporary. And they might get lucky and be able to convict the people, and for all you know.
Mr. Brackett. Mr. Brackett, just to clarify what you just said, which is true.
Colleagues, this morning. Madam President, the NTUCB has a few concerns regarding this bill before us. And while, as everyone has said, I support the comments made by my colleagues, we feel that we are moving away somewhat from using or requiring proof for some of these things when we are looking at, for example, you can be held accountable if I hear that you say something or you say a bad word, you know, as we call it, just by those persons indicating that they heard me say these things. That can be problematic for me as an individual. That is the view of the NTUCB in terms of reviewing this bill before us, and we feel that while we understand the purpose of the bill, and while it is that we want to ensure that we are not encouraging our citizens, threatening others and doing all of these sorts of things, we have to be very careful that putting this portion in here is not going to affect people's right in terms of your right to freedom of speech. And that's a huge concern for us that we share as it relates to this bill. Again, Madam President, we do understand that we want to have a society that is disciplined, that has certain behavior, but there's a thin line here when we include these words such as whether directly or within hearing. That may create mischief. Because, for example, we were discussing that, let's say, for example, a police officer were to, hold you for something, in the process of arresting you for something, and maybe somebody else is shouting at you or telling you something while you are being transported, and, you may utter profanity might not be to the officer or about the officer, but it might be just that you're speaking to the other person who might be around. The NTUCB feels that that can create some unnecessary issues. And so I think, again, the essence of what is here is supported. However, I think that this portion of this bill will create some issues in terms of people's freedom and people's rights. And so I don't know how we can look at that. In relation to the categories listed, yes, we do support those. I'm not sure about the elected official because that's another matter again. You know, how we view that and what it is that we are trying to, you know, is it that we can no longer say certain things to elected officials, you know, when we feel that they are not doing what they ought to be doing, because you have to be very careful what you say and how you say things because you can be in trouble as well, right? And it's not just, you know, we're going to be charged something, right? It's conviction to imprisonment for 3 years. So as union leaders, we all know that we are often in this back and forth, especially with government officials. And sometimes things do get heated. And if it is that, you know, we tired of Ms. Smith and Ms. Smith, they put me to shame, and Ms. Smith putting things out there about us as a union leader, we'll deal with her now to utter these words. And I heard you say these things, so let's go. 3 years imprisonment, you can't do any more union function. So those are the concerns that we have, and we are to ensure that, you know, in putting things in place, we don't infringe in our rights as Belizeans, as given to us by our Constitution.
Our Constitution.
Mr. Chairman, house cleaning. We're going to go to 140 if need be, okay? Or we could go to 140 if need be. This is good anticipation. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Again, that video is to show our Constitution constantly under attack. Again, it's the same thing, no changes. We have come to the end of our show. Mr. Wade, I go to you first.
We are in an authoritarian state, and we are adopting the Putin style of running a country. The Putin style, right? They silence you in a minute, right? Whenever you go against them. You listen to the lady, thank you. Again, we had beat this horse already. But thank again for bringing it up again. Enlighten the public. We enlighten the public. Open on eyes, right? Like I say, we are in an authoritarian state, and we see how again a Creole, Leonard, and they cut that in jib. They cut that in jib.
Yep.
And we know the agenda, you know. We here, we know what they want to carry we. And we did talk about it for some time now, right? And then it inch closer and closer and closer. So my people, you know, I hope that, you know, our show tonight has been enlightenment. Thanks for your company, Leonard and Chairman Gregory, right? Thanks for your company. It's always a pleasure. I just hope that, again, tonight, we take us a little bit further into the behavior of our leaders, some elected and not elected, right? Right there. Played out for you by the chairman. Leave you with that.
Thank you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Brackett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the privilege to participate in the program along with you again, sitting in company with Mr. Wade as well. And I want to pat you two gentlemen on your back, figuratively, for your contribution, what you have brought and have been bringing to the table. and on behalf of our people and country of Belize. Because while people have rights, like Ms. Pitts always says, the country have rights too. And we, the people of the country, maybe not all of us, but whether it be 1, 2, 3, or as many of us as is possible, need to fight for the country, protect the country, protect the constitution, and keep the society going on behalf of future generations yet unborn. So I just want to say, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the privilege to participate along with you. And it's just regrettable that these people that we have in exercising our powers of governance act so willy-nilly and disdainful and dismissive towards we, the people of Belize, who have entrusted them with that power. And that they dare to try and make laws to serve their own personal conveniences rather than for the public and general, or for the general public's health and well-being. Like Ms. Elena complained in that particular tape, which we have played quite a few times and discussed quite a few times, about the ministers them or the politicians them going back to the House to try and amend that particular piece of legislation that they had previously amended, only to try and get themselves included under those, the names of the category of those public officers who should not be offended on or assaulted or hurt or whatever. And now we have a case where the man could have used the same law instead of hauling the man. If they may do the proper investigation, I mean, know how the door get broke up like that. And he could have been hauling the man and charge under the bogus law and at least give the man on 3 years until the matter get resolved. He may have to sit down in a jail for a little while, cool off his heel, like when the man always say, one of the people then go up the road, go spend time to cool off the heel, you know. This is the time when they should have applied any kind of tactics. If they really can't do it successfully the right way, if they're not competent enough. But I know that they're competent enough to do it the right way, and that's why I keep on hollering and yelling and screaming and, demanding that they do better because they can do better and give us better governance. And I'll end on that, Mr. Chairman, for tonight. Looking forward to another night on Wednesday when Mr. Wade will be the chairman, and we could probably continue this same discussion a little further, more in detail. So just want to say thanks, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to the Belizean people at home and abroad for tuning in. Turning off over, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome, sir.
With that said, I would like to say good night to the Belizean people at home and abroad, and thank you for tuning in to this, the 156th episode of Belizean Affairs. Hopefully, we have left you with an open mind, and hopefully, we have educated you on our Constitution that we continue to do. With that said, we would like to say good night.
Good night.